Scaling, believe it or not, almost broke my business until I fixed these 4 things. Scaling doesn't fall apart because you're not working hard enough. It falls apart because every new level exposes the things you've been patching together behind the scenes. As you grow, the problems rarely look dramatic at first. They show up as small delays, minor miscommunications, or that feeling of, we'll fix it later. And then suddenly you find yourself wondering, why is everything harder now? Why does growth feel like friction every step of the way? So when I was scaling my most successful business, I used to think it was simple. You just sell more, hire more, and push harder. But with every stage of growth, I realized I was actually building the company around hidden roadblocks and partners who couldn't keep up. We took in what I call easy investment money that carried heavy strings. There was a fuzzy sense of who we were really selling to and manufacturing decisions that seemed minor until they started costing me sleep and eating away at our margins. So here's the hard-earned advice I wish somebody had given me before I slammed on the gas pedal. So in this video, I'm going to give you 4 lessons, plus one that almost nobody talks about, that can save you months of rework and unnecessary stress. The first is how to choose partners who raise your ceiling instead of forcing you to build workarounds. 2, when raising capital helps you scale or when it quietly steals your leverage. 3, the customer persona work that makes your marketing and product decisions 10 times easier. And 4, why your manufacturer can become your biggest asset, not just a cost on a spreadsheet. And this isn't just theory. These are the pressure points you only notice once things start working. If you're already growing, you're about to, take these frameworks and make them your own, because at the end of the day, scaling doesn't reward effort, it rewards alignment. Also, I want to get one thing clear. I talk about brand. And when I speak about brand in this video, it applies to any business, because I believe anything can be turned into a brand. You can build a brand with a physical product, a SaaS product, a service business, because all a brand does is connects what you sell to who you sell it to in a deeper way than a transaction. I'm not a transactional person. I'm a brand builder. So if you're looking for this type of content on business growth, hit like, follow me, and subscribe. So lesson 1, partners who can't keep up. If you're building a brand, if you're building a business, your growth isn't just marketing. It's operations, it's cash flow, it's inventory, quality control, timeliness, and 100 decisions that compound as you grow. And the truth is, the wrong partner doesn't just slow you down, they quietly set the maximum size your business is allowed to become. So here's what that looks like in practice, because you don't notice it at first. You notice quirks, it appears as missed promises, excuses. One person needs extra content for every decision, someone avoids hard conversations, so issues sit unresolved. A partner that agrees to deadlines, then misses them, then you're the one writing the apology email and patching the hole. Because you're scaling, you do the logical thing, right? You build workarounds, you add meetings, you create checklists, you take more responsibility onto yourself temporarily. You hire people to buffer the damage, but every workaround comes at a cost. Cost of speed, a cost of morale, your focus. In a product brand, speed and consistency are everywhere. Trends move quickly, retail windows won't wait for you. One late shipment or a single slip in quality can cost you the trust that you spent years earning. The hardest part, you can do everything right and still feel stuck because you're not actually scaling your business, you're just scaling around a bottleneck. So the question isn't, do I like this partner? The question is, does this partner increase our capacity, or do I have to compensate for their limitations? And here's a simple partner readiness scorecard. And I wish I used this earlier from day one. So give each category that I'm going to explain 1 to 5 and be brutally honest. So rate it 1 to 5. Do they have the time and the bandwidth to match the pace, or are they constantly underwater? Rate it 1 to 5. Can they make clear decisions that with incomplete information, or do they stall until everything's perfect? When something breaks, do they take responsibility, or do they explain why it wasn't their fault? Do they cover a critical lane you don't have, or are you overlapping and stepping on each other? Do they care about quality and details at the level your customers expect? Can you disagree without it turning into tension, avoidance, a big argument? Or are they rewarded when the company wins, or rewarded when they personally avoid discomfort? If you score low in 2 or more categories, you don't have a communication problem. You have an alignment problem. So always have the conversation with a prospective partner that most people avoid. A pre-mortem, before you start to determine if they're the correct partner. Ask, if this blows up in 6 months, what would be the reason? What do you need from me to perform? What do I need from you? How do we make decisions when we don't agree? What happens if one of us can't keep up? So partners aren't just people you trust. They're systems you rely on. And when you're scaling a brand, you don't need someone who's good. You need someone who's truly built for the next level, consistently. I had a partner who became an obstacle. I tried everything I knew, how to move them forward. We tried everything from meetings to a third-party coach to even therapy, almost like marriage counseling. It got to the point where we had to work around them constantly to get everything done. We had to put them basically on a shelf, essentially giving them something to occupy them that really had very little to do with moving the business forward, just to get them out of the way. And that's not a good way to work. Ultimately, we had to part ways, and you have to choose your partners wisely. It's lesson 2. Stop building workarounds. If you ever hear yourself say, it's fine, I'll just handle that part, stop for a second. That's the sentence founders use to build a company that only works as long as they're willing to personally absorb all the inefficiencies. Workarounds feel responsible in the moment. You're protecting the launch, you're keeping the team moving, you're avoiding conflict. But in a scaling business, a workaround never stays a one-time fix. It becomes the default. And the bigger you get, the more those temporary patches become permanent operating costs. So again, here's the rule I wish I had adopted earlier. If you need a workaround to compensate for a person or a partner or lack of system, you have an alignment problem, not a process problem, because every workaround you tolerate today becomes the bottleneck you pay for tomorrow. So instead of asking, how do we make this work? Why is it not working without extra effort? The goal of scaling isn't to become better at patching problems. It's to build a business that gets stronger as the volume increases naturally. Here's the third lesson. And this is an important one, raising capital the right way, because not all capital helps you scale. Some capital just lets you scale faster in the wrong direction. So in a business, cash is like oxygen. Inventory is expensive, minimum order quantities, all that stuff. Packaging lead times don't care about your conversion rate. So when things are working, the temptation is, hey, let's raise money so you can buy more inventory, launch more SKUs, spend more time on marketing. We can go faster. But here's the shift. Don't raise money because you need money. Raise money because you found leverage to scale. See, that's something everybody misses. Everybody thinks they need money in the beginning to go out and start doing things like marketing. Raise money when you found that leverage to scale. Leverage means that the business model is working in a repeatable way, and additional resources will predictably create more of the same outcome. Not we think it will, not we hope. If you can't explain the machine, how demand is created, how it's fulfilled, what the margins are, what breaks at a higher volume, capital won't fix it. It will amplify the confusion. So before you take $1, you want to be able to answer 3 questions with numbers. What's the constraint right now? Is it demand? Is it fulfillment? Is it cash cycle? Is it the team? If the constraint is removed, what happens next? What becomes the new constraint? What's the simplest use of funds that removes the constraint without creating 2 new ones? Now, once you know why you're raising, the next step is who to raise from. Smart money isn't a vibe, it's measurable. Smart money aligns with your ideals and principles and has a track record of helping similar companies. They help improve margins, they help navigate manufacturing, they help you get into retail, they help you hire operators, they help you negotiate supply chain terms, unlock distribution. There's a world of things that these guys can help you do. They don't just ask for updates, they become your partners, as they are, because they just invested in your company. They became your partners and they want to create options for you. They're there to help you grow. Don't treat them like, okay, they put their money in, now I'm just going to send them their monthly reports. That's a wrong way of handling it. You want them, you want to use them. These guys have tentacles more than you'll ever have. So here's how you qualify them. Before you say yes, and again, one note here, I'm going to tell you. I see founders enter a room with potential investors as if they were asking for a handout and were afraid to ask the investor questions. I coach founders to prepare first to enter the room like a CEO who has a great opportunity for the right investor. See, it's a mind shift, not a mindset. It's a mind shift. But the key is to have a business prepared for the ask. First, ask the investor for proof of helpfulness, not promises, proof. Tell me 3 specific ways you've helped a brand scale in the last 12 months. Then listen for the details, the names, the introductions made, the problem solved. If it's vague, it's not real. Second, test alignment under pressure. Ask if growth slows for a quarter because we're protecting quality and customer experience. Is that acceptable? Their reaction tells you whether they'll push you into shortcuts that may damage the brand. And third, map incentives. Brands can become addicted to launches, new SKUs, new packaging, new channels, because it looks like growth. You want investors who respect focus. Ask, what would you advise we say no to this year? Smart money will always have an opinion that protects the strategy. Fourth, run the operational fit check. If your biggest risks are inventory planning, cash conversion cycle, manufacturing, then reach out to people who can help you there. If their only strength is marketing, but your bottleneck is operations, you're getting the wrong money. And make sure you set expectations in writing clearly. How often you'll update, what metrics matter, what help you'll ask for, what help they'll ask for. The best relationships are boring because everyone knows the rules. Capital should buy you speed and control, not speed and chaos. If the money doesn't give you more options, help you execute better, protect your standards, it's not fuel for growth, it's dead weight. Lesson 4, customer persona, or you're guessing. If you're scaling without a clear customer persona, you're trying to win a race with a blindfold on. You might move fast, but you'll waste motion, and you'll crash into things that are predictable. So the first part is tactical. You need reality, not assumptions. A usable persona isn't women 25 to 34. That's a demographic. That's not a decision maker. What you're after is the moment they decide to buy, what they're trying to fix, and what they're afraid of. So you start with conversations because dashboards won't tell you why someone cared about your product. Do 10 customer calls, not surveys, calls. Get them on the phone. Ask them questions. What were you using before? What finally made you switch? What almost stopped you from buying? What result were you hoping for and how quickly? What does high quality mean to you in this category? What did you worry would happen if it didn't work? Where did you first hear about us? If you had to describe this to a friend, what would you say? And then listen for phrases, because these phrases become your messaging, your ad angles, your product roadmap. Part 2 is strategic. The persona is your scaling filter. When you know who you're looking for, you stop tracing every trend. You make cleaner decisions about positioning, pricing, which channels you should even be in. The outcome you're selling, and that changes everything from packaging to influencer selection. It also protects your margins because you're not discounting to convince the wrong customer to buy. And it improves retention because the right customer doesn't just buy once, they build a routine around you. Capture it all on a single page. What pain your customer is really feeling, the solution they're searching for, the 3 main buying triggers, 3 objections, the proof they need to trust you. Then put it on a test. Rewrite 1 landing page and 1 ad in the exact words and watch what happens to your conversion rates. I'll bet you they go up. Scaling gets easier when your persona becomes a compass. Tells you where those people are. It's easier to find them. And then you know who you're marketing to, how you're marketing, where you're marketing, and when you're marketing. Lesson 5, your manufacturer can be your biggest asset. Most founders treat their manufacturer like a vendor. You place an order, you negotiate price, you hope it shows up on time, and that mindset gets expensive. Smart founders tie their manufacturer to quality, consistency, speed, the ability to survive a surprise spike in demand. If the relationship is purely transactional, you'll get transactional outcomes. Minimal flexibility, slow communication, and that's not our problem sort of mentality when something goes wrong. A relationship-based approach doesn't mean being soft. It means building trust and clarity so you get better outcomes under pressure. Start by acting like a long-term partner, not a one-time buyer. Share forecasts with them, even if they're not perfect. Update them constantly. Manufacturers, think about it, they're planning their labor, their raw materials based on what they believe you'll do. When you show up with last-minute changes, no visibility, you train them to prioritize other customers who have their stuff together. Give them feedback, fast and specific, if something goes wrong. Don't send emotional emails. That's always a problem. Send a clear report. Always focus on the facts. What failed, how you measured it, what's acceptable looks like, and what you need for the next run. And visit them often, as this changes the relationship, because people move faster for people they've met, not just for purchase orders. You see, when you go there, You get to understand their operation and they get to understand your operation a little bit more. And then you could both collaborate on fixes if there's problems. When your manufacturer trusts you and likes you, they'll tell you the truth early. They'll hold capacity for you. They'll help you scale without chaos. Manufacturers can keep you updated on the latest trends, information that'll help you. Make them your partner, treat them like a partner, and they'll help you scale. I'll tell you one other item. They can actually help you finance your business. I'll give you an example. Early on, we were building this beauty brand. We got into kind of trouble. It was good kind of trouble, but it was trouble. Our sales were going up fast, which meant that we didn't have enough cash on hand to pay the inventory. And we were getting purchase orders in. And when you're dealing with the manufacturer and you're dealing with purchase orders, you got to pay 50% up front. So I went to the manufacturer with a solution. I said, look, this is to a customer that's larger than we thought, and we don't have the funds available. But they're a AAA rated business. They pay on time, 30 days. How about if you become the payee? We will send the invoice. They will pay your bank accounts. You then take the difference between what we owe you and the total, and you give us the difference. This way you get paid first. You're secured. Everybody's happy. They were happy to do it for us because we had built up this relationship with them. We talked to them almost weekly. In fact, they did it for us for the next year, allowing us to scale a bit more before we had to raise outside capital. And they didn't charge us any interest or fees for doing this for us. They just were so happy that we were scaling. Scaling was pushing more manufacturing through their plant, which was making them more efficient. So here's a quick scaling checklist recap. So save it. Partners, do they raise capacity or are you building around their ceiling? Workarounds, if you're always patching, fix alignment, not symptoms. Capital, raise only when you've found leverage and only from smart money that increases options. Persona, if you can't describe the exact buyer, the buying trigger, you're guessing at scale. Manufacturing, treat it like a strategic relationship, not a transaction. Do this, and growth stops feeling like chaos and starts feeling like something you can actually control. So if you like this video, you like this kind of information, hit like, follow me, subscribe, and until next time.